1 out of 2 entrepreneurs will fail, not because they don't have enough money, but because they don't have enough knowledge and they don't have the right direction. We believe that we can bridge the gap between those entrepreneurs and mentors and industry leaders who can give them advice to help them become successful. We do it by, number 1, offering them the ability to speed mentor, ask questions. Number 2, give them the ability to do one-to-one mentoring, and then group events on Google Hangout. Brian McMahon, Paid Forward Labs, bridging the gap for entrepreneurs.
Hi everybody, my name is Eric Schuss and I'm with a company called bitspeed. We have software that basically makes files move faster. So in this world of big data and everybody who's got terabytes and petabytes of data, we actually are able to accelerate over regular networks using the new networking protocol that will take data. We have our first customer is USC Keck Medical. They had a terabyte of data they had to move 6 miles, and it was taking 22 hours to transfer that data over their networks. They downloaded our software off our website. The next time they ran it, it was 2 hours. We optimized their network and got it down to 45 minutes. Anybody, anywhere, any industry, genomics is for bitspeed.
It's good, right? I mean, I got to tell you, you got to be pretty brave to come up here and stand in front of all you terrifying people and actually pitch a story. So, but if you don't do it, it's even worse. You have a really high-rated VC in the room. You have a really high-rated incubator in the room. You have a really high-rated angel in the room. You have a banker that likes small business. When was the last time you've ever even heard of a banker that likes small business? That's Kevin, by the way. Kevin over here. So whenever you have this opportunity, I know a lot of people did step up. And I remember when I first met Ash and I met all the guys at TCAN, and I saw everybody go up and do their pitch. And I kind of sat down and I thought, well, I'll see what it's going to be like. And then afterwards I realized it was a huge mistake, because those people who went up, you don't know where the breadcrumbs are going to go. So you just want to make sure you always put yourself in this position. If you want to go one step further, and I will tell you a tip, Ash says I'm very connected. You know, it's a bit like Gary Player. He gets luckier the harder he tries, right? So for me, I spent a long time at the very beginning when I came to LA. I only arrived in LA 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And when I first came here, I made it my business to find out who are the people who are involved in startup, in tech, and in what I do. And then I made it my business to help those people and get involved in those people. So just before you come to these events, maybe look up the people who are going to come. And if you're sitting there and you think, I'm not going to pitch, if it's a TCVN event, ignore that little noise, get up here, do the pitch, and just get your name out. So if you can give us 5 minutes dialed in to the local community and the funding that's available in the local community and the resources that are available to the local community than anybody else. And they are a resource here for you. So Rachel Horning has kindly come here tonight to give her 6 cents worth. So thanks, Rachel. We've also got James Little. There's James over here. Now, I've known James for a long time. About 8 months ago, I thought to myself, I would love to do a crowdfunding campaign. And then I thought to myself, what the heck is a crowdfunding campaign? So I spent the next 4 or 5 months trying to find out, with the help of my very good friend over there, Serena. And James was excellent. And I found 3 or 4 people in the local area who really understand crowdfunding. Constant Contact, I think the guys are awesome, but they're competitive with Constant Contact. And why are they here talking to you about funding? Because they can help you do something that probably only 2% of Harry, my very good friend down in OC, and this is the great thing about Tech Coast Venture Network, is that because it's the entire coast, we have access to just some wonderful people who are really influential in the community, and they have a great pay it forward spirit, and they say, look, even though I'm at a very high level in angel funding, I will come here and I will talk to the people this evening. But what jumped out at me, when Larry first sent Terence up, I said, oh great, I've heard of Terence. Let me just look at some of the investments. And then I went, ooh, co-founder of Wikipedia, that's a nice little company, that's good. So he's getting involved in those companies there too. I also saw the fact that he likes to invest female-led or female-partnered companies, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So any great female entrepreneurs out here, you got a friend here. This guy, don't all jump on him at the same time afterwards, okay? But he wants to invest in companies which he feels are sensible. And the other couple of things are Young Ventures, mentors and invest in coachable and formidable female and male founders, including Wikipedia, which I said. He sits on the investment panel of 2 leading Silicon Valley VCs. Who comes here from Silicon Valley? Nobody. So he's come down here and he lives down here right now. So you now have access to somebody who knows Silicon Valley as well. and fashion-based crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, and just a bunch of other stuff. So a great guy to have in the panel, really, really useful as far as angels. So thank you, Terence. What, nobody like you? He has a digital media agency, but he also invests in small business here as well. So you have an investor, a man who helps people find money through crowdfunding, a man who gives money through the banking, and a lady over there who invests in startups in Santa Monica as well.
So someone that seems excited by what they're pitching and is enthusiastic is easier to follow and listen to. And it's easier to get excited about what you're doing when you seem excited yourself. Or a hockey stick shaped curve. If you have 100 users that are visiting the site for 7 minutes a day, 3 days a week, that's more important. So not that we hate companies making money, but I'd say that's almost true. It's great to talk to people that have engaged users before they're making money. Now, that said, Clearstone, which will now become March Capital Partners, has a much larger, is investing from a fairly large fund, especially for Southern California. And so we'll probably err on the side of investing slightly later stage, so maybe not seed round, but Series A and on. But it's still great to meet folks early so that we know you and that you know us when you're ready to take, or when we're ready to partner in terms of capital exchange for equity. So it's not too early to approach. Even though it might be too early for us to invest, it's good to start the relationship.
Have the strong potential to have users that renew, return, and refer other users. And if you look at what's happened, some of these social media sites that have come out of LA, they're great, Tinder, Snapchat. You don't necessarily need to monetize right away. The key is engagement, and by what we mean by engagement or ecstatic users is users that return, they don't fall off, and they refer other users. That's really important.
Okay, that's excellent. So something that actually brings more and more users in and it's got stickiness on the site. Can you get that across in 30 seconds?
Facebook publicly about how I really don't like projections because they're almost always wrong. So I would start in a 30-second pitch. You want to go with what your strengths are. If you have a great team, talk about your team. If you're great, talk about how great you are. This is not the time to be humble. I can give you guys tips on how not to be humble. And you want to kind of have a takeaway so that the judges will remember you. So we had 2 people in our group, I think it's okay to say, who happened to take notes. I was not one of them, nor were any of the other men. So, but
this is why
Rachel at least took notes, so we knew what the heck we were going to talk about.
This is why women co-founders are so important, because the rest of us, we forget what our startup is after the first couple of days.
Also, I am married, and I want to be happily married, and my wife or my boss approves when I invest and mentor female founders.
So,
what was the most important thing to my girlfriend? Her nails, her shoes, and her hair. A couple of days went by as she was smoking packs of cigarettes. I grabbed her hair and I said, "Your ends are splitting." "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." "Maybe because you're smoking." I turned around and walked away. She never smoked a cigarette ever since. What I wanted, okay? And what I want to focus on is exactly what she wanted, which was that wonderful hair. So for sponsor, think about what they want. That's the pitch.
There's a guy actually called John Bates. I don't know who's heard of John, who's seen John Bates talk. Yeah, so John's he's a great guy. He's a coach to the TED speakers, and he's a good friend. And he talks about the why. He points everybody to the Simon Sinek talk on TED. I don't know if anybody's seen it.
Yes.
If you haven't, go home and watch it tonight, because if you want to do a great pitch, Simon Sinek talks about how everybody else talks about the what and the how, and how people like Dr. Luther King and Apple talk about the why. So focus on the real why, what's important to the people. That's a great call, thank you.
I get your emails, I get your cold calls, I get to hear all your voices. The most important thing actually is to be honest. Don't try and call up and say, "Oh, I just want to double check that this is your managing director's email. Is it firstname.lastname@companyname.com?" And I'll just say, "Yeah, that's it." And you go, "Oh my God, I'm dying to tell you how clever I am that I just figured that out." When really I I know that's actually not his email and you're gonna get a bounce back just because you're dishonest. So just be honest, be forthright. We are so welcoming to cold pitches. We will review them if they're in our interests or in our past portfolio history. We will pass them on to the appropriate person to review. So we're very welcome. You don't have to be scheming. You don't have to send Starbucks cards, but you can. And just be honest and give us a little blip about what you're about. Give us your 30-second pitch in the body of the email. Attach any deck or executive summary you want to send in. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. And it sounds like to include something in there about user engagement or potential user engagement would probably get your attention if there was something in there about a really good technology with good potential user engagement.
So I think the number one thing is beyond what Sarah just said was make sure there's nothing distracting in the formatting. So there's resources to figure out what a pitch deck should look like, what an executive summary should look like, or what your first couple paragraphs should look like. And it's important to follow that so that the message is communicated without the format being distracting.
Really beautiful. Thank you.